You are Roger the Tramp, aren't you?
Firstly, the term tramp is now considered inconsiderate, and the preferred nomenclature is homeless person or transient. Secondly, it is very rude to address a stranger by name without introducing oneself first.
I beg your pardon, but I didn't realize I was in the presence of the Baron of Sussex.
Do not be absurd, boy. I'm not the Baron of Sussex. I'm Duke Roger Emerith Ravendish III from Derbyshire.
Yet you live on a bench and you have a torn shoe.
I also rummaged through the refuse, to be completely honest.
This guy was a real madman. Well, Duke Ravendish, may I ask you a few questions?
I am at your disposal, at least for the present moment.
So you are an actual nobleman?
The Ravendish family dates back to the 16th century, during the time of the controversial Henry VIII.
I can only wonder how an actual duke ends up living on the street.
I do not think my story would be of any interest to you, lad.
Do you remember where you were 2 nights ago?
At Chef Tony's, a modest 5-star restaurant located in the West Miami district.
You answered with extraordinary promptness.
I stick to my weekly schedule precisely. It's a carryover from my old life.
I see. Do you remember if you saw or heard anything strange?
Might you be a detective, young man?
Of course I am. Do you want to see my badge?
Your poor attempt at dressing like Sir Arthur Ignatius Conan Doyle's character is enough for me.
What's your point?
If you are a detective, it means that you are a representative of the authorities, or at least you are in contact with them. Ergo, you can help me save my Camerops humilis.
Your what?
My dwarf palm. My shelter from the warm, sultry summer days in Miami. I have spent my afternoons basking in the shade of its leaves for years, and now it is at risk.
Explain.
Recent studies have revealed the presence of the red Blatodia on these picturesque beaches, a disturbing and voracious insect that can prove lethal to these plants. My palm was judged to be sick, which was clearly a rush evaluation. Just a glance will suffice to see that it is in perfect health.
I think I understand what you're getting at, but I have to point out that someone could consider this an attempt at bribery.
I am not offering goods in exchange for a service. Any assistance would simply bring peace to my disturbed mind and therefore encourage me to remember.
That man was used to these kinds of negotiations. He sure knew how to bargain. All right, let's see what I can do for your palm tree.
Make that red mark disappear, and then you may ask what you will.
So what if I asked you to remember the night we spoke about?
Oh, my poor dwarf palm. If only someone would take care of removing that symbol from its cortex.
I think I know perfectly well who that someone is.
Quid pro quo.
So what if I asked you to remember the night we spoke about?
Oh, my poor dwarf palm. If only someone would take care of removing that symbol from its cortex.
I think I know perfectly well who that someone is.
Quid pro quo.
So what if I asked you to remember the night we spoke about?
Oh, my poor dwarf palm. If only someone would take care of removing that symbol from its cortex.
I think I know perfectly well who that someone is.
Quid pro quo.
Don't leave the country, Duke Ravendish.
I would be reviled for doing so.
Good morning. So what if I ask...
Oh, my poor dwarf palm. If only someone would take care of...
I think I know perfectly well who that some...
Quid pro quo.
Don't leave the country.
I would be revived.
That red mark with fresh paint sentenced that poor plant to death. It had to disappear if it wanted to obtain Roger's help.
Look at that, Jimby! The brave Lazarus Bundy has really come to see us!
I can't believe I'm actually here.
There, no reason to be upset. I can assure you you've made the best decision of your career.
I'll content myself with the assurance that you won't smear me out of turn.
Alright, so I'd say we've got everything we need to start rolling. Jimby, you can start recording.
Whoa, wait a...
This is Gwendolyn Pratt reporting from the house of the serial killer Blowtorch, aka David Ramos. We have with us the detective in charge of the case, Lazarus Bundy. Good evening, Mr. Bundy.
Good evening.
Let's get straight to the point. Last night you were involved in a struggle with the dangerous individual who, we mustn't forget, is on the run. How would you describe this experience to our viewers?
You know what they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Ramos is huge, but I exercise a lot. And then, I'm a black belt in karate.
You can't tell.
I wear baggy clothes to keep low profile.
Where do you think Ramos is hiding right now?
If he's smarter than he seems, he'd have already left the city at high speed. Last night, I was just warming up with him. I can't wait to start the next round.
This makes me, and I'm sure all our viewers, feel safe. Let's cut to the chase, detective. How do you answer the accusations that you purposely let Blowtorch escape just to have someone to hunt down to keep your already at risk job?
Already a risk job? What are you talking about, you ugly witch?
It's no secret that you've just been fired, detective. Or I should say, ex-detective.
I wasn't covering up anything. I was fired specifically because...
Facts tell another story, Bundy. It seems you've been in difficult waters lately. That your alleged detective skills have been, how can I say it, deteriorated for quite a few months now. My understanding is that you haven't successfully closed a case for at least 6 months, ex-detective. How do you answer to this real data?
Enough, Pratt. I knew I was making a mistake coming here, but your lowness knows no bounds.
One more question, Bundy. Have you given any thought to your immediate future? I doubt that anyone will offer you work after what you... As you wish. I'm Gwendolyn Pratt. Back to you in the newsroom. I told you, Bundy. The important thing is not for the audience to have the absolute truth, just a plausible one. Have a good day.
Go to hell. I knew it was a bad idea to challenge Gwendolyn Pratt, the Queen of Mud. And so my decline in those previous months had become a matter of public domain. Anyway, who cared? My crisis had been leaked, yes, but not the real reason behind it. They could speculate, but the real truth was mine alone. And this would be an abandoned factory? I'd underestimated the size of the matter. That building was huge, and I'd lose an entire day, plus the place was being watched. I had to find a way to access it without being noticed by the guard. Hello. Did you by any chance come from the future to stop android domination?
Huh? I don't understand what you're saying, mate. Who are you?
I am... Maybe it was best to use a fake name, given the circumstances.
Stallone! Like the cartoon they show every Thursday night! I like it a lot, especially when Clint kicks the bad guy's ass. I am Eugene, mate.
Meeting you is a huge pleasure, in all possible respects. So, what are you doing here all alone?
I'm guarding the fort, uh-huh. Mama says it's the job of responsibility.
Responsibility.
Exactly! Responsibility! Mama said if someone we don't like or is not our friend shows up and tries to enter,
You kick them out.
I break his back and throw him down the drain in the square. Every time this happens, Mama makes big laughs and buys me a bag of chips.
The innocence with which he confessed the atrocity left me without words. This Eugene was oblivious about being so dangerous. I heard you mention a certain Mama.
Mama Cecily! She gets angry when people call her Mama. She says it makes her feel old.
Is she your mother?
No, but she took me from the orphanscape and found this job for me.
Orphanage, Eugene.
Yes, scorphanage.
And what's her line of work?
She tried to explain it, but I didn't understand. She says she loves working with other people's money.
Loan shark. They're criminals of the worst kind. And is she here now?
No, she comes later. First, she goes to find her girls to see if they're okay.
Better and better. She must be a barrel of laughs.
Imagine that once, when she was young, she took gas and matches and set fire to our school. Boom! The owner says it's because of that funny story that he gave this job to Mama.
So, this is a restricted area.
I don't know that word.
I mean, only certain people can enter here.
It's true. It works like that. Only those who are nice to Mama can enter. And that's just me, the owner, and the guy driving the truck. Ah, no. I broke the back of him last Thursday.
You really know how to have fun around here. What do you think about giving me a sightseeing tour around the factory?
Like when you're in those places with a guy talking weird. I never understand what they say, those guys, but I like them.
Let's play a game. I am a Japanese tourist and you're the nice guy talking weird. The game is not started yet, Eugene.
I don't know, Stallone. I'd really like to, but Mama would kill me.
I had to persist with Eugene. About the owner of the factory. He runs the place, does he?
Yes, he's responsible.
Responsible, Eugene. Can you describe him?
I'm not good at doing identity descriptions. He's not funny, though. Mama says he scares she, too.
Her, Eugene. Is this him, by any chance?
Yes, that's Redwad. Why do you got his photo?
Ah, well, he and I are old friends. I'd really like to enter and visit him.
Now he's out, but you can wait for him outside with me.
What a shame. I wanted to surprise him.
And jump out from a corner screaming boo? I'd really like to, but Mama would kill me.
At least now I knew the name of the mysterious character in the photo, Radwed. Let's suppose I managed to convince this mama to let me enter.
Yes?
Where would I find Radwed's office? This place looks huge.
I can't talk about this stuff with strangers. Last time I disobeyed, Mama punished me. Oh. She took away Bert, and the same night, she made me found his severed head on the bed.
Good Lord. Was it your dog?
My stuffed panda.
Well, it must have been a painful loss for you, nonetheless.
You can say that again, Stallone.
Getting back to us, are you sure you can't tell me anything? After all, nobody will ever know.
No, and again, no. I already suffered too much.
That information was useful. Even if I managed to enter the factory, I'd risk being seen roaming around without more detailed directions. I needed Eugene, so I had to deceive him somehow. So, you really loved your teddy bear?
A panda! It was a panda!
So, you really loved your teddy bear?
A panda! It was a panda!
So, you really loved your teddy bear?
A panda! It was a panda!
I have more important things to do than stay here to correct your grammar.
Bye, Stallone!
Hello. So,
A pa-
I have more important...
Bye, Stallone!
Hello. I have more important things to do.
Bye, Stallone!
I saw a hole in the wall, right behind that fluttering poster. The manhole could have been a perfect gateway into the factory. The question was, how to get there. Alice held her own quite well with... I always wanted the drive. Even after entering the premises, I don't think I could ever lift that big... I always wanted the manhole. The question was, Alice held her own quite well with that computer. The upteenth beach party, complete with a contest for my scarf, continuing. The sign consisted of a match the company. Hello.
Hi, Lars.
I've been to the factory you mentioned this morning, and you know what, Alice? That place is anything but abandoned.
Which makes it a real lead, instead of the potential dead end that it seemed.
The problem of sneaking inside remains, though. The place is guarded by the last descendant of a race of prehistoric giants, yet I think I found a possible access point. You can hold your own with that hellish thing, can't you?
I'm usually able to find out more than an average person can learn about their spouse by rummaging through their wallet.
Remarkable. Could you provide me with a map of the, Alice, I know it may seem strange, but I need a map of the city sewers, with a marked path that will lead me from a certain starting point to an end one.
You want to go through the sewers? Such elegance. Give me 2 minutes. All right, I already found an up-to-date map and I marked the coordinates for the old factory. It wasn't easy. I had to hack the server of the Miami municipality, upload a worm that would hide my IP from the IT controllers, and finally download all the updated floor plans for the sewers.
And you did all that in 20 seconds?
I'm messing with you. I just loaded the appropriate site and found a recent map. Are you sure you want to sneak through the sewers all alone? With or without a map, it is still a dark and smelly labyrinth.
Recently, I met a kid that could prove useful.
Let me know what you find in there. And most of all, be careful. I have a bad feeling.
You bet. Bad feeling is my middle name.
That would be 2 names, Lars.
Yeah, that doesn't quite work, does it?
Not really. But wait, you could say, bad feeling is my nickname instead.
Great. Bad feeling sounds fearsome as a nickname, doesn't it? This time, I'm sure I've deduced the origin of that lock.
I'm starting to make you lose sleep over this. Bring it on.
So, I think the trauma is not due to your adolescence, but your childhood. The fact that you don't have a picture of your parents on the desk makes me think that you're not particularly interested in their approval. This is because of a family conflict in your background. Your father was a bad man, maybe a drunkard, who didn't spare any occasion to beat your poor mother. Time and fatigue weakened the woman, causing premature aging and the total whitening of her hair. Your lock is dedicated to her, your heroine.
Come on, knock it off. My mother works in a dry cleaners around the corner and still has long blonde hair. My father, on the other hand, is a retired detective, and he's still my role model, even today. I dare say he was probably a much better detective than you, given your performance.
So you think this will be enough to make me declare surrender? I'll be back for more soon. See you later, partner.
Bye, Lars.
Hey there, kid.
What do you want?
The moment has come to finally assert your peculiar talent.
To open tuna cans using only my toenails?
No, gross. I mean, your infallible sense of direction in the depths of the city's underground. You must be my guide, and lead me to a specific point of the city, in the vicinity of a manhole.
And how do I know where it is?
I have a map here with the route displayed. I'm not that naive.
Okay, and what do I get out of it?
My unconditional love. Alright, what do you want? More electronic junk?
I want you to recover my medallion from that mound of dirt.
Is it yours? Then why is it there? Is it yet another gift from the surface?
Don't even joke about it. That medallion is mine.
Maybe we can retrieve it and give it back to the rightful owner.
I told you it's mine. I always have it on me, but this morning I woke up and somehow it had ended up there. I just couldn't reach it, and so I need you to get it.
Ha! It must be tough to be as tall as it can.
If you're going to be like that, then I want a Sfrizzo Cola too.
Do you think this is the right time to drink a soda? I'm in a hurry, you little punk.
It's not for drinking. I need it as fuel for my modified vehicle.
I heard something about that. It seems that Sfrizzo was withdrawn from the market just because of the diluted fuel scandal. Wait a minute, though. What vehicle are we talking about?
Listen, do you want to ride or not? Then shut up, bring me my medallion and a Sfrizzo Cola.
Okay, I'm going. It showed the sewers of Miami. The line from my amazing fishing rod had broken, giving me barely enough time to grab the medallion. I was astonished by the craftsmanship of the object. This surely wasn't street jewelry. A crow, with a threatening look, surrounded the world with its wings. What was a little gangbanger like him doing with a prize like that? Then again, it was absolutely none of my business. I already had a mystery on my hands, and one at a time was enough. I recovered your medallion. Not bad at all, I must say. Where'd you find it?
Throw it to me, and mind your own business.
Okay. I was just being curious.
It's you again.
Do we know each other?
No, but I've seen you on TV. You must be a VIP.
Ah, well, you can proclaim it loudly, because before you is the famous detective... Lazarus Bundy!
That's why you wear a Sherlock Holmes hat?
It's more like him wearing my hat.
Well, actually,
Anyway, let me work now, Mr...
Issa.
Stay there and watch how a real investigator works.
I have to wait for the pawn shop to open anyway. The owner has no will to work. He should have been here already for a while now.
The vending machine wasn't working, so I couldn't buy a soda. I had no choice but to come up with something illegal.
Trying is useless. It's gone. I put some money inside and it was eaten. I also tried to kick it, but no dice.
Believe me, you were lucky. I wouldn't wish a Sfrizzo even on my worst enemy. As a result of dealing with the worst individuals in society, I learned every kind of possible trick. Scrounging a soda was one of those tricks. Hey, that is Frizzo Cola. If I needed to loosen a bolt, that would be perfect.
Sorry, aren't you a detective?
Exactly, and this vending machine contains some fundamental evidence from my latest case.
How cool. Can we take a selfie?
Ah, no thanks. I already had breakfast.
Actually, a selfie is...
And so Eugene was heartbroken over the loss of his stuffed panda. Could I use my little bear to entice him? How long since I last pulled it out from down there? My beloved Bobby. I called him that in memory of my grandpa, Roberto. That stuffed animal had been with me since I was 6. Bobby the teddy bear, a memory of happy childhood.
Attention, monsieur!
Huh? Attention to what?
You horrible brat!
I told you, the Harbinger today made us a really big favor with those firecrackers.
It almost sounds like a gunshot.
They should be illegal. They throw them on the ground, then they explode and we all jump in the air by fear. Where will we end up, I wonder?
At the morgue. Another prank like that and I'll have a stroke. And yet, I suspected that having one of those firecrackers in my pocket would help me in the future. That way, it would have looked like a panda. With the proper modifications, I'd turn Bobby the polar bear into Bobby the panda. Eugene, I have a surprise for you.
Bert, you're alive!
I knew a specialist doctor owed me a favor, and I asked him to help me. Do you want him?
Of course! Give him to me, please!
Business before pleasure. Can you tell me where to find Radwed's office inside this huge factory?
Enter the big door, take the alley towards the hand you're right with, climb the ladder, and you'll find it up there. Now give me my Bert, Stallone!
I knew Eugene was totally at my mercy then, and he would let me enter without making a fuss. Can I enter the factory?
No.
Oh, okay. So, here's Bert.
Bert!
I lingered a few moments to watch Eugene playing happily with a piece of my childhood, the only toy my father ever gave me. Parting with it was a bit like giving up a sweet memory. Here's your Srizzo Cola, you brat.
We'll get around half the city with this.
All ready for our departure?
I'm ready for anything. And you?
I'd say it's time. How long do we have to walk, more or less?
Walk? Wait here, you fool.
I just about convinced myself that I'd been scammed, when from the depths of the sewers, I heard a rumble.
All aboard! The next ferry is about to weigh anchor and set sail to the sewers of death! Hold tight to the dinghy!
Following Eugene's instructions, I quickly reached Radwed's office. Finally in the Wolf's Lair. I had to move quickly then, and above all, find something that would get me close to young Catherine. They were all pictures of Catherine. Catherine at sea, on a boat, always smiling. And among all those shots, the picture that led me there. I wondered if she was running carefree, and that picture made my Catherine at the beach. Catherine was holding her she was on a horse. The baby bump showing on the girl. The ashtray was decorated with some peculiar symbols. I wondered if they meant anything. The ashtray. The light solvent. Alice told me the factory produced building materials before it closed. Messy and without style, the desk displayed a hasty and maniac mindset. I noticed that glass ball. It supplied power to the fan, but for the moment it was deactivated. As was reasonable to expect, it was closed. As expected, the drawers are. It was already set to on, but the power strip wasn't activated. I recognized the glass ball. It was the snow globe Catherine was holding in her hand in the photo. I inspected the sphere and discovered a small brass key in a battery compartment. A very stupid place to hide something. The batteries must have leaked and the key was oxidized. The key was completely rusty, and it was impossible to make it fit any of those drawers. The key was completely rusty. That solvent and vigorous friction could restore the key back to good condition. The key didn't fit any of those drawers. The lock triggered, and the drawer opened with a soft sound. Among the several documents inside, I found a freshly printed dossier. It was related to an unspecified exchange of goods that would be happening that very night. The location of the meeting wasn't specified, but a certain detail grabbed my attention. One of the records was for a bribe to a harbor office, also unspecified. Considering the number of piers in Miami, finding the right one would be far from easy. I needed more clues if I wanted to find the exchange location.
Fee-fi-fo-fum. I smell the blood of a snoop.
You seriously said fee-fi-fo-fum?
Mama got it right, like always. Pull your head out and let me take a look at you, smartass.
Like heck. What would stop you from shooting me then?
I only need to take 2 steps to have you at gunpoint anyway, sport.
You don't want to do that. I'm a detective on duty, and I'm armed.
So you say, and yet I don't see you flashing any gun.
I'm just waiting for you to take a wrong step.
I say you're bluffing. Okay, I'm fed up with this chattering. You have 3 seconds to come out of there, or I'll be coming to get you myself. 1...
I would have liked to.
2...
I doubted that the power...
And 3! It's the end of the road, baby! Okay, I'm fed up. 1...
I wouldn't have managed to sneak out. I couldn't see.
2...
I was already set to on. I wouldn't convince her to.
Okay, I'm 1...
Could that ashtray?
2...
I would have liked to. In that moment...
Okay, I'm 1... All right, Squirt. It seems you weren't bluffing after all. What do you think you accomplished? Radwad will be here soon, and together we'll flush you out of there.
True, but I'd bought precious seconds to get out of that hell. By turning on the power from where I thought it was better to look. I thought it was a van. I was already set. I couldn't see anything that might. As soon as the smoke reached me, waves of desire washed over me. How tough can it be to quit such a vice?
I thought it was better to look... No matter how... Was it really?
Hey, Squirt! Are you out of your mind? Don't take another step or I'll end you! Understand?
Alright. I was just using the ashtray. I wouldn't want to set the entire factory on fire. The fan could have distracted Mama, but I couldn't reach the power strip. It was already set to on. I couldn't see it. I would have liked...
What the hell is happening in here?
It's time to go for broke, and quickly.
I'm really fed up with this farce. I'm coming to get you, moron. I'm really fed up with this farce. I'm really... What was that? Okay, Squirt. I'm sick of this. Come out of there and let's get it over with once and for all.
Adrenaline was pumping through every cell of my body, giving me the necessary strength to knock out that behemoth. Now, to get out of there, and fast. As I walked away from that hellish factory, I thought of how I had miraculously escaped one of the worst situations of my life. Yet, it was worth the risk. Now, I knew there would be an exchange of unspecified goods at the pier that night. An exchange I could not miss. I just had to find out which was the right pier among the thousands in Miami.
The paint was still fresh, so the solvent would be sufficient to remove it.
I'd already taken all.
Good morning. You can stop worrying about your palm tree.
You do not speak fallaciously. I see the mark has actually disappeared.
Now, will you answer my questions?
Ravendish can be ruthless, but always keeps his word. Ask away.
About the night we discussed earlier, do you remember witnessing anything suspicious?
The stroganoff stew was cooked without sour cream. These Americans and their culinary reinterpretations. Beyond that, I remember seeing an extraordinary individual. He was not a regular, I'm quite sure of that.
Can you describe him?
Formally attired, classy, possessing remarkable posture. He always had his back turned to me, so I cannot provide further details about his appearance.
Nothing else?
Not that I remember. No.
Another dead end. He was the only witness of the event, and I only obtained a vague description. The alley was a cold lead after all.
Where is my head? I unintentionally omitted a detail.
I held my breath.
As he strode towards the main street, the man received a phone call, from which I only managed to capture certain words. One in particular aroused my attention, and I determined to research it for purely academic reasons. I wrote it down in a note that, given your precious help, I am willing to share with you.
Gripped with excitement, I prepared to read the note. It contained just one strange word. Sitlalikwe?
Do not look at me like that. I have no idea what it means.
I'll handle this. Although I didn't know how to interpret it, I was sure that bizarre word would lead me to the man in the mask. I had to consult with Alice and try to tie together the strands of my investigations.
Oh, lad, can you remain a little longer?
Do you want me to prune your palm while I'm here?
You have proven to be a reliable collaborator, so I have a second request of you. Being a detective, you may have access to government databases through which you could research, this.
I couldn't help but notice the effigy, a crow, in the act of surrounding the world with its wings. I had already seen the same symbol shortly before. M's medallion. What the hell was going on? Had I exposed a conspiracy of vagrants? Well, can you give me more specific information?
The crow enveloping the world is the symbol of the Ravendish family, as well as of the company I run. Or, more accurately, I ran.
Tell me everything. Forwards and backwards.
That shan't be easy, but very well. The Raven was, to me, a constant commitment. I ate with colleagues and slept in the office most of the time. I went home just one weekend a month at most. Over time, I started to ignore my family. First, my wife, who got sick of that situation and left the marriage. Then Cynthia.
Cynthia?
My only heir. She gave birth to a child, but I was so absorbed that I never went to visit them. When I saw her again, she told me she wanted to leave England to move here, to Miami. I was furious. I had filled her pockets with money, given her houses, clothes, and luxury cars, and she just wanted to abandon me, like her mother did. Oh, I feigned indifference and she left, repaying me with a taste of my own medicine.
And since then, you've never seen your daughter again?
My daughter reached Miami, but sometime later, she suffered a terrible accident. She was killed instantly, without pain. The baby, however...
He died with her.
No, I would add, fortunately, but what I discovered later destroyed me. My daughter realized she couldn't take care of the baby, so she abandoned him. I don't know what her last thoughts were, but I was sure they were about the choice she'd made. I used most part of my fortune organizing searches, but to no avail. I felt like I was going crazy from helplessness. In the end, I was declared unfit to manage the Raven, and my portion was bought out by a private group, the Fallen Rose.
Before my eyes, the pieces were being arranged in a very strange way. How could it be that the Fallen Rose itself, the company run by Radwed, was connected to that old man met only through chance? At that moment, I began to suspect that my meeting with Roger Ravendish was anything but random after all. You're telling me you stayed in Miami to look for your nephew for how many years, precisely?
12 years, give or take a few days, and I shall stay here as many more need be to reunite with him.
Listen, Duke Ravendish, I don't want to create false hope, but what are the chances that a 12-year-old kid who calls himself M would find himself in possession of your family medallion?
Boy, if this isn't jest, I must warn you that...
I believe it would be better if you came with me.
So this relic would be my grandpa.
Hey, little monster, watch your mouth.
Come on. I get that you're a bit of a sucker, but I didn't think that much. This guy comes out with an absurd story and I should believe him without any evidence?
Michael, you wear the medallion of the Ravendish family.
Michael?
But there's more. An irrefutable piece of evidence that leaves no doubt in my mind. I see my Cynthia in your eyes. Your mother.
My mom?
Come. I'll take you out of this hell.
The surface. It's been such a long time since I've seen it. It has a weird smell.
City life is a collection of scents. The asphalt, the gardens, the water of the fountains.
The pollution.
You'll learn to distinguish them. But for now, let's go home, Michael.
From the beginning of the story, I had done nothing but use everybody else to achieve my aims. But as I watched that grandfather and grandson leaving together, I realized that for the first time, I'd acted for the good of others, and not myself. It made me feel better. Hello.
Lars, don't you know that if you have to meet a girl after being in the sewer, you should first take a shower?
I would have really liked to, my dear, believe me. But today is not Saturday.
I already heard that one. So why do you have that strange smile?
I found out that two homeless nobles are related. I've brought them together.
Does it have anything to do with our case?
Yeah, no.
I understand. First the secondary quest, right? Now, can we get back to the main one?
I was able to sneak inside the factory.
How'd it go? Did you find anything?
I think, my dear, that I underestimated those people. I had to deal with a person of uncertain gender armed to the teeth whom I managed to survive only by a miracle, and thanks to my cat-like reflexes. Add to that the sketchy individual who gently suggested that I leave the case alone. And you'll have a clear picture of the current state of our investigation.
Somebody is not happy with the progress we're making.
Not at all. And the closer we get, the more I feel hunted.
The situation is more serious than I imagined. I really might have a chance for a promotion.
Hey, what about my life constantly being in danger?
Summing it all up, what do we actually know for sure?
First of all, I was able to put a name to our brown-haired mystery man. Now, the factory was registered to his name, a certain Radwed. Then I discovered that tonight an unspecified merchandise exchange will happen nearby at a local pier.
Considering the number of piers and ships anchored in Miami, it doesn't seem like enough to move forward. If only we had another hint of any kind.
I found a witness who swears he saw the lunatic who challenged me. According to this highly refined homeless person, the man uttered the word Citlalique.
Circle Ciplo what?
Yeah, I basically had the same reaction. Can you do a search?
Let's see what I can find. So, the word itself is a proper name, in particular of an Aztec deity. I think in our case it means something else, though. I did a cross-check with anything that might have local relevance. The search produced some matches. A themed hotel in the suburbs, a ship anchored here in Miami, and a strip club in nearby Miami Beach.
It must be the strip club. See you later, Alice.
Stop right there, you pervert.
You don't get it. My instincts lead me to believe that.
Keep your instinct at bay. We need to narrow down the field. We can't afford to go off at random.
All right. But I'm sure it's the strip club.
Okay.
Alice, let's think back to the clues we know for sure.
So, in the factory, you found a reference to a merchandise exchange.
That will happen tonight at an unspecified pier.
Then that witness you talked to gave us a name. Citlalique.
Which, among other things, seems to be a ship anchored in Miami right now.
And here we are. I want to do another check. Give me a minute.
Don't get too carried away. The two details could be unconnected.
I don't think so. The Citlalique is a ship used for goods transport and is actually anchored at Pier 5 in the Biscayne Bay. And listen to this. It seems to be registered to none other than Eric Molesberg.
I knew the man was involved with his daughter's kidnapping. Maybe by merchandise exchange. They actually mean the girl. I just have to wait now. If all goes well, I could close the case by tonight.
Listen, Lars, if you're going to sneak onto the ship alone, it'd be better to take precautions this time. Burton wanted me to compile an inventory of new gadgets which just arrived in the department, and there's one thing you absolutely have to see.
A metal bracelet. Pretty ugly too. Well?
It contains a powerful tracker that will allow me to follow your every movement.
So, if I were to disappear, you could at least find my corpse. And this other electronic thingy?
You must pay very careful attention to that. It shoots lethal lasers.
Really?
No, silly. It's simply a Bluetooth headset. This will make it easier to communicate. How do you plan to sneak aboard the ship?
I just have to arrange a ride by sea, and I know just the right smelly person for the job. If I hurry, maybe I'll be able to reach him before he leaves the city.
Lars, don't get killed.
Then, I saw him. Radwood was there, a few feet away from that crate. From back there, I couldn't hear what they were saying, but the tension seemed as tight as a bowstring. From Mama's agitated hand gestures, I realized that I was the topic of discussion. Radwood, for his part, seemed calm, almost indifferent. Was it possible that my interference had passed so unnoticed?
What are you doing here, Stallone?
Shh! Can't you see I'm trying to listen? They had thrown me inside a cold, dark cargo hold. Oh, that blow was immense. But at least I was still alive. Eugene didn't have the guts to kill me. Not yet, at least. He had also emptied my pockets. If they hadn't destroyed it, the tracker analysis bracelet would bring back up here sooner or later. But would I still be alive by then? I had to escape on my own. They were very well sealed. Attached to one of those crates was an inviting piece of adhesive tape, though. They were very well sealed. Not to mention, attached to one of the. They were very well sealed. Not attached to one. The winch was being powered with that cable. The winch seemed to be working. I could operate it with those commands. To use the hook, I first had to release the cable supporting it. I found an old CD player. Old-fashioned, but still functioning. An original pony, by the way. Trying to open it, I broke the little reception antenna and was completely jammed. The tent was worn and ripped in many places. Behind it was just a shadowy area. There wasn't anything else used. The springs of that cot were about to give out. Literally, no exaggeration. To use the hook, I first had to release the cable. The winch was being powered. That hatch could become my escape route, but it was secured to the floor with a lock. It could collapse at any moment. The end of the bed was damaged. Normally, portholes don't have a locking mechanism, yet that one was an opening. And more than just closed, it seemed jammed. Maybe the problem was with the hinge. I was sure the damage was in there, but I couldn't get a grip on it. There wasn't anything else you. The spring I'd extracted from a. Was it really worth it? In that moment, I thought it was better to. One of the last bony CD. I remember one of its selling points was the ability. The uselessness of that function contributed to the failure of the product, but it could help me right at the moment. The player had no intention of opening manually. They were very well sealed, and I didn't have time to try. Not to mention that inside, I'd have probably just found rotten fish and rum bottles. Attached to one of those crates was an inviting piece of. The tent was worn and ripped in many places. The winch was to use the hook. A bunch of crates was occupying the back part of the cargo hold. I guess they were full of useless junk, so I didn't take much notice of them. Attached to one of those crates was an inviting piece of adhesive tape, though. A bunch of crates was, I guess, attached to one. They were very well. Not to mention that inside, attached to one of those. A bunch of crates attached to. I didn't know exactly why, but having some tape in my pocket made me feel like a better man.
Nothing. The blunt tip of the antenna slipped. Years of spy movies suddenly revealed themselves as nothing but shattered illusions. All they did was break the tip of the antenna. And that's why the porthole wasn't opening. The spring that regulated its hinge movement was rotten. I could have slid the rusty spring out of its housing, but without a replacement, I wouldn't have accomplished much. The new spring perfectly fit the housing.
You ugly rat! You again.
I must have climbed the side of the ship looking for something to eat.
Well, wait a second. That means M is down there.
Calling out loud would have alerted Radwed's men too. Maybe there was a more cunning and discreet way to attract M's attention. If I wanted M to notice me, that bulb would have to be used where it was. That wire was linked to the reflector. If only they hadn't deprived me of that beautiful extending clothes stick. If I could point that reflector downward, I'd be able to draw M's attention. I had to pull off one of my magic maneuvers. Maybe with the hook, I would be able to make something happen on the exterior of the ship. There was nothing left to do but pull the hook hard. I heard the clinking of chains coming from outside. Em had climbed like a monkey up the side of the ship. I can almost smell your ode to sewer now.
I knew it was you doing that thing with the reflector. How did you move it from a distance? Are you an illusionist?
In a way, I connected the hook of a winch to the...
If you reveal the trick, it's no fun anymore. You're the world's worst illusionist.
You're not the first to tell me I talk too much.
Did you see my spubby up there by any chance?
See? My little demon jumped all over me.
Oh no! I can't leave this place without my spubby.
I can't get out of this place, period. Give me a hand. Rather than thinking about your lousy rat.
What should I do?
Don't you have something you could help me with? I don't know, like a pick lock, a file, sawed-off shotgun? Or my former pony remote control. Very useful for matters like this. I got it. I'll help you recover that filthy creature. Look how that little critter came out of its lair. It must have an incredible sense of smell. I started to consider that the tiny thing might be helpful in creating an escape plan from that cargo hold. After all, rodents are well known to gnaw everything, aren't they? Even wood. Damn cheese eater! I really need to lure him into the open somehow. The classic domestic problem. How to capture a little pest that can crawl anywhere and run away at the speed of light. Simple answer, with a trap. It was ideal as bait, but first, I needed to come up with something to assure me that trap would trigger once the rat was inside it. I needed a way to remote control it. Curiously, the two devices were the same brand. I wondered if there was a way to open the CD player by using the remote control. I would need help.
Where'd you learn to climb so well, kid?
Have you ever tried climbing a filthy and slime-filled sewer tube? By comparison, a chain is like taking an escalator.
It's my understanding that you know a lot about technology.
More than you, obviously, given the cell phone you carry around.
I just found this old-fashioned CD player and realized it's the same brand as my TV. My hope is that I can use the remote control to make the CD player work from a distance.
But you don't know how to set it.
I don't even know what set it means precisely.
If your remote control is universal, it could work. Do exactly what I tell you. Hold down the function and power buttons together for a few seconds. If you hear a beep, it means it worked.
Hey, it really worked. You never cease to surprise me, you naughty rascal. Can you do anything from down there?
Anything like what?
I don't know exactly. Can you look inside that window and tell me what you see?
It seems to be an office. There's a big map hanging on the wall, a desk full of papers, and a safe.
Do you think you can sneak inside and take a look up close?
No, the window is closed from the inside.
I always have to do everything myself. Try not to be seen by anyone, kid. Thanks, Tam. I'd already opened it. A technological rat trap was coming to life in my ingenious hands. I had the trap I needed. That was the best spot for the plan I had in mind. Force the rat to dig its way through the wood. I waited a few seconds, but that rotten rat did not show up. I probably scared him. The trap was ready to trigger. Gotcha! Little guy, you're gonna be my ticket out of here.
I felt a bit sorry. The bulb was very hot. I burned my hand, even with the gloves. The lamp was emitting enough heat to cause the rat to dig down. I just needed to power the bulb now. I could insulate the antenna with tape, but I didn't see any reason why. I was close enough to power the bulb, but how could I plug it in? I was close enough to power... Maybe it would have been better to take some precautions before attempting such a move. The heat of the bulb spread quickly inside the trap. At the beginning, the rat ran around in circles, panicking. Then I realized it could only escape in one way, by digging. Now I just have to enlarge the hole. The rat had opened a hole in the hatch, but it was still too small to pass through it. The winch might have been useful to enlarge that hole. They were very well sealed, and I didn't have to, not to mention that Ready for some healthy destruction? No hatch, massive door, or prison can stop Lazarus Bundy. Hey, Em.
I don't know how you did it, but Spubby is here.
Yeah, I can barely contain my joy. Now go back to your dinghy and keep the engines ready. We're about to depart from this hellish ship.
Thank goodness. I don't like this place.
Huh, you're scared, huh?
Not at all. It's just that it's cold out here, and I want to go back home.
And now, we're out of here. I found myself in a cabin full of documents, papers, and a huge map hanging on the wall. On the table, I glimpsed a box containing all my belongings. I intended to retrieve them, and then run away like the wind. But the phone started to vibrate as soon as I picked it up. Must have been Alice trying to make contact to figure out what happened to me. Alice, it's not exactly the best time to talk. I'm about to jump overboard.
I assume you were able to infiltrate the Citlalique. Remarkable.
You!
It's a real pleasure to finally be able to chat, even if not face to face as I'd hoped.
You son of a...
I prefer you call me Doctor. And why so much spite towards me? I'm just trying to give your career a little boost.
By kidnapping a girl? I'd rather stayed sitting on my hands.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. But we'll talk about that another time. I'm dying to know how your investigation's going. So please tell me, have you already found it?
Found it? Haha, of course. I found everything.
I'm afraid not. And indeed, your situation is not the best. That ship will be your grave if you don't decipher the riddle that lies within as soon as possible. In the main cabin, to be precise. You'll recognize it by the huge map hanging on the wall.
You bastard. This whole thing is just a game to you. A sadistic game with the life of an innocent at stake.
The life of two innocents, as you have surely already discovered. At this point, I'm curious, Lazarus. What do you think about the kidnapping of Catherine Malsberg?
There was no kidnapping. Catherine left of her own free will with Radwed, the man she fell in love with.
Yes and no. The girl was mentally reconditioned. Her entire sentimental story with Radwed was created and well orchestrated. Even the baby's conception.
But why? What's so special about that baby to make someone engineer such a plot?
Now you're pretending to know too much, Lazarus. But the clock is ticking. I suggest you spend your time trying to find what's hidden on the Citlalique. One last hint. You have the solution to everything in your pocket, even if you still don't get it. The hourglass is emptying, Lazarus. See you soon.
I hated admitting it, but the doctor had managed to replace my healthy instinct for survival with an irrational need to turn that cabin upside down. Until that moment, I hadn't learned anything concrete, and the situation was starting to burn at me. I needed a victory, even the smallest one, to find the strength to proceed, but I couldn't achieve it by myself.
Hello?
Miss Sharp, I'm Inspector Burton. I was about to drink my 5th afternoon cognac when I decided to promote you as an intern for life. Congratulations.
Lars? Lars, is that you?
Hey, how'd you recognize me?
Has anybody informed you that phones now show the number of an incoming call?
Mine doesn't.
Your phone dates back to 95, Lars. Wait a minute. You're not on the Citlalique, are you?
I'm calling you directly from the oceanic flows.
Are you in danger? Do you need me to send backup?
Well, I've been locked inside a cold, dark cargo hold for a while, and it's only thanks to the supersonic speed of my brain that I managed to get out.
Or combining random objects or breaking things like you usually do.
After that, I received an interesting phone call from the doctor.
The doctor? You mean the man you've been hunting for days?
Precisely. It seems he wants to be called that.
We've established that he likes theatrics then. Are you hurt?
Only my feelings. This guy doesn't want to kill me, Alice. He's having too much fun with me.
He creeps me out. Anyway, you better leave that ship And soon.
There's a situation I need to tie up first, but I need your assistance.
Then it's time to use the Bluetooth device I gave you. Involve me in all your steps.
Roger, Roger. Do you receive me?
Loud and clear.
I can't take my mind off the last words of the doctor. You have the solution in your pocket. What if it was another one of his subtle clues? Let's get to work. You're still there, right?
I'm here, but hurry up and get...
You're still there.
I'm here, but hurry up.
There's a safe in the room. From the look of it, I'd say it's going to be a tough nut to crack.
Can you read its model?
Let's see. Secure Master Core 2.5.
Bad news. I am browsing a blog of professional safecrackers, and it seems nobody has yet found a way to open that specific model. Or at least, a way that does not involve using an abundance of dynamite or liquid hydrogen.
Sorry, is a blog of professional safecrackers really a thing?
You'd be surprised what circulates on the deep web.
Anyway, it seems clear the only way to open this safe is to find the right combination. I don't think the doctor would play so dirty that he wouldn't provide me with all the necessary information to face his challenge. The combination must be somewhere in here. We're sure that trying random combinations wouldn't do any good. Hanging on the wall is a large map.
Describe it to me meticulously.
It is represented as a map of the entire world, but actually it is missing entire continents, including North America. Seems antique.
If it's missing the more recently discovered continents, it could be traced back to the time of the ancient Romans. Are there any decorations?
No, nothing specific.
This doesn't add up. Normally maps like that always display a symbol, the windrose. It should be there.
What if it was removed for some reason?
I think we should follow this lead since we have nothing better. Look for anything that might refer to the windrose.
Wait a second, Alice. When the doctor suggested I have the solution in my pocket, maybe it wasn't just an expression. The chest note I found along with Catherine and Radwed's photo. It must mean something, and maybe it's even linked to the riddle hidden in this room.
It seems plausible. Describe the note to me.
There are some chess diagrams, a few colored in red and others in green.
The combination of color and chess could be a movement suggestion. You know how it works, right?
Chess? It always seemed to me a pastime for manic obsessives.
You don't know how wrong you are. Ask if you need instructions.
On one side of the note, there's also a windrose. That could be a reference to the map in the cabin, couldn't it?
At this point, I'd be surprised if it were otherwise.
Okay, let's get to work. I have to find something.
Earth calling Lars! We agreed that you'd search.
Yeah, remember. A rook.
The rook can move in as many free squares as you want.
A knight.
In chess, a knight moves in an L.
There's a funny.
The bishop.
A knight.
In chess, a knight.
A knight.
In chess,
A knight.
in chess. Try to find something that relates to the windrose. Anything at all.
Let's see. A few incomprehensible projects, an incomprehensible sort of logbook, a completely incomprehensible stack of papers. Then we have playing cards, a few chips, nuts, and a drink. Somebody went buck wild in here.
Come on, Lars. Don't waste time.
Wait a minute. Here it is. A magnet with the windrose engraved on it.
This is confirmation that we're on the right track.
It was a magnet with the symbol of... Okay, I have the windrose. Now what do I do?
Let me check.
Maybe on the deep web there's also a nice blog for code breakers of old Roman maps where a windrose is missing.
Okay, I found a website that seems reliable. If the map is a reference to the ancient Romans, there's only one spot where that magnet should be placed.
Rome, obviously.
Wrong. Apparently the Romans were convinced that the origin of the winds wasn't in Rome, but an unspecified point in the Ionian Sea.
Copy that. It's make or break time. I didn't like that noise.
I think you inserted the wrong code, but look on the bright side. Now we are sure that the map hides some sort of mechanism.
I counted 7 moves before the warning triggered. That narrows things down, but we're still talking about thousands of potential matches. What I need is a reference.
In the meantime, return the rows to the starting position. I bet the mechanism will reset. What was that metallic clank?
That, my dear, was the sweet sound of success. The safe is open.
That means its mechanism was just a smokescreen. Very ingenious.
But why did the doctor give me suggestions on how to solve the riddle of the Citlalique?
Maybe he was feeding the challenge by giving you some hints.
I hope next time he sends a few pistachios instead. I love pistachios. Alice, I hear steps in the hallway.
Do something, hurry!
It's not what it looks like.
Lars? Lars!
It's not what it looks.
Lars? Lars! Lars?
Suck on that, Doctor.
What's happening? Are you okay?
I gained some precious seconds, but I've got to move. The safe contained mostly paperwork, bearer bonds, property records, and notarial deeds. But something else caught my attention. It was a small obsidian item,
that partially reflected my image. All that fuss just to hide a little mirror. And yet, I immediately understood that this wasn't an ordinary mirror. I could sense its power running through my veins. It was like holding something alive.
Lars! Pull yourself together, Lars! You said you have to move, and instead you've been gawping there for 2 minutes now.
2 minutes? Damn, this little thing hypnotized me. I'm hanging up. We'll catch up when I'm back.
Do get in touch.
Go! After my incursion aboard the Citlalique, I knew I should expect another private visit. This time, without any possibility of a rain check. I wasn't wrong. The same individual that approached me a few hours earlier had returned, and this time he wouldn't go away with just some simple chatter. Besides, at that point, I was tired of talking as well. You have nowhere to go!
Are you sure about that?
Hey, freshwater sailor. Open your eyes. Come on, I haven't got all day.
Who? What?
Rise and shine, little princess.
So, it all happened for real, and I'm still alive.
Or are we both dead and this is heaven? The sight is like I imagined it to be. Now, if we're finished with the small talk, let's get to it. I have a Slavic witness rambling in an unintelligible language about two men beating each other up on a public bridge in the middle of the night. I am forced to deduce by the circumstances that one of the two men was you.
It was a true and proper assault, man. I was riding around on my green dart when, all of a sudden...
Don't bullshit me, Bundy. I know very well what you're doing. If I let you do what you want, it's only because of the respect that I feel for you. But you went too far tonight.
You're not the first one to tell me that.
But I'll be the last. I took your badge back, and this time I'll lock it up so tight that even a funambulist trick won't be enough to get it back. The Mulsberg case is hiding more than it seemed in the beginning. I can agree with you on that. But your methods make me blow a gasket. You have concealed evidence from the authorities. You scared potential witnesses to death. You alarmed our main suspect. And on top of that, you dragged Miss Sharp down with you.
Alice has nothing to do with this mess. She didn't even know I was acting alone.
It's too late now for melodramatic scenes. Alice Sharp was suspended from her already precarious duties, and for that she'll have to thank a man who could have helped make her career. Goodbye, Bundy. In the end, you really disappointed me.
It was a tough blow. I had nothing to lose in that whole story, and I jumped headlong into it. But Alice... I destroyed a dream nurtured for years, and was just started to materialize. I felt like a worm. Going home to rest on a real bed seemed like the best idea in the world at the moment. I'd think about the rest later.
Lars!
You scared the shit out of me. Wait, How'd you get in my flat?
By the door. You're not used to locking the door when you leave, are you?
I know this might seem like a maniacal habit, but the key to this door is somewhere in the city sewers. Alice, I guess I owe you an apology.
I agree, you do. Or else you could get me out of the situation you've gotten me into rather than wasting your time feeling sorry for yourself.
We just have to give it a little time. Then I'll talk to Burton. I'm sure he'll be willing to give you another chance.
You have to face the truth. Burton wants nothing more to do with you, me, or what we have done. Let's admit it. We acted on impulse, sought glory on our own. And do you know what happens now?
What happens is that you'll go your way, and I'll go mine. And maybe we'll catch up once a year to wish each other Merry Christmas with a phone call full of silence and embarrassment.
What happens is that we roll up our sleeves, and we really do find the glory on our own.
You'll find a good workplace, despite everything. Maybe not in law enforcement as you hoped. Maybe as a waitress or a cleaning lady. But you'll manage to move on somehow.
Lars? Did you hear what I just said?
Then kids will come, sweet innocent children that will instill in you a new hope for the future. Wait a minute, what? Are you serious?
Never been more serious. We got so close, Lars. I heard what happened tonight. If Rodwed came for you in person, it's because deep down he considers you a real threat.
Did you know I was able to beat him like an omelet against the mailboxes out here?
Did it happen before or after he threw you out of the building?
There's something wrong with that man. First of all, he lifted me off the ground with one hand like I was a 6-year-old child. Furthermore, and you probably won't believe this, but I saw him. Yes, I saw him age at least 30 years right before my eyes, in just a few seconds.
No snarky comments? Is that a positive or negative sign?
Having reached this stage, I am ready to accept pretty much anything. Except aliens. Don't you dare propose any theories about aliens.
Yeah, only that lunatic from Weird Cases believes in aliens. Anyhow, how do you explain such a phenomenon?
This individual, and also the doctor, they seem to share a certain taste for theatrics. Could it just be a trick, an illusion? After all, it was dark.
I can't rule it out for sure, but couldn't you do some research about it anyway?
There was no need to ask. What will you do in the meantime? By now, you've exhausted all your valid leads.
I should find out what that strange obsidian item was that I found on board the Citlalique.
But during the struggle tonight, I saw something drop down the hole in the floor out here, and I'm pretty sure it was Radwed's smartphone. I'd say that's the top priority.
Then I'll wait for your progress. From now on, we'll use your house as our headquarters.
Fine by me.
Don't expect me to clean it, though.
I would not be able to reach that little object even if I stretched to the maximum. I'd need some sort of tool or extension. Now it was within my reach. And there was the little object I had glimpsed the night before. Radwed's smartphone, finally in my hand. Hey.
How's it going?
There's a matter we need to clarify before the story ends. Your lock.
You still haven't given up on that.
Absolutely. Listen to this. You said you studied behavioral science, and that you specialize in the facial analysis of people. Now, in my opinion, that's a tough task comparable to poker. In addition, the eyes are the mirror of the soul. So you created your secret weapon, a tuft of hair that partially covered your own eyes, so you could spy on others without being seen. A bit like wearing sunglasses to look at girls' bums without being called a pervert. The white dye, then, is just a way to divert attention away from the real purpose of the lock.
I never thought I could use my lock in such a way. Your idea is brilliant.
So, it's not that either. Oh, man, I'm starting to feel frustrated.
Are you ready to throw in the towel?
All right, I officially declare my surrender.
I already mentioned that my father was a great detective before his retirement, but I never specified who he worked for. Mr. Richard Kelvin Sharp, my grandfather. The owner of Spy Corps I, the biggest private detective agency in the eastern United States.
Bucatini Smanakari.
You might think this would be an advantage for a girl that dreamed of nothing else besides becoming a detective. Instead, my grandfather was a man of old convictions, son of a patriarchal model that he never thought for a moment to call into question. So he denied me a job.
You were rejected by your grandpa?
Can you believe? There was a huge fight. I cursed him and his agency to hell while he threatened to cut me out of the family inheritance in order to dissuade me. So I left, knowing that if I gave up, my grandfather would have won.
But he failed. That's how you ended up here, doing an internship for old Seamus.
That's the reason for my white lock. It's my war declaration. It reminds me of the rejection of my grandfather, my own blood, and this pushes me every day not to give up. Disappointed by the reality?
Not at all. I thought you were going to catch me off guard with something simple like, because I love myself like this, or I copied my look from a superhero.
Well, yes, I love myself like this too.
I suppose I didn't manage to solve the mystery completely, but there is one thing I'm sure of.
What is it?
Your grandfather was wrong.
Thanks, Lars. I'm happy we talked about it.
I recovered the package.
Tell me you were spot on and that we have Rodwed's phone.
You better believe it.
Seriously? So taking all those blows was worth it?
Taking all those blows? Since when did you start speaking like a bar brawler?
Since I've been hanging out with you.
Can you get anything from it? Useful information that will get us closer to Catherine?
I can and I will. Let me work. I just have to open the tracking software.
Well, let's be clear though, he took the most of the beating.
Okay, I'll launch the tracking program. Now I'll connect the smartphone to the laptop and wait for the readout of the results.
So now we will be able to track the calls made with this device?
We should be, but the tracker wasn't able to find enough data from the phone. I guess it's shielded. Darn. Do you see the area that appeared on the map? It indicates the place where Rodwed's phone seems to have been used lately.
Oh, too vast to identify the precise spot. Tell me you still have one more trick up your sleeve or I'll start crying.
I could try to monitor the incoming signals received in the last few days. If we can obtain at least 3 readings, we could triangulate the signal's directions and find the location where Rodwed was at the time of the calls. Here's the first signal. Judging by the reference radio tower, the call must have originated from the old factory building.
Mama did mention she had called Radwed, now that I think about it.
And here's another signal, this time closer to the coast. Any ideas?
Probably the harbor office contacting Radwed after accepting his bribe. Maybe to clarify a few details about that night.
It all fits. And I guess I have access to a third signal. 1 minute and... oh no, that's not good.
Yeah, the fact that the icon is sizzling and dancing all around is not a good sign, is it?
Not at all. The signal comes from a radio tower near the Molesburg mansion, but the results are disturbed. I guess they installed some kind of shielding device specifically to prevent being tracked.
All right, I'm on it. Just tell me what I have to do.
Take this device for starters. Once you get to the Molesburg residence, use it to track the source of the disturbance.
What should I look for exactly?
A telephone jammer. That is to say, a little device equipped with antennas. When you find it, put this tracker on top. It is also programmed to deactivate the jamming device. Once it is taken out of the equation, come back to me, and I'm sure we'll get something.
No sooner said than done. I'll be back here in no time. The signal didn't point exactly towards the house, but to the garden. I had to figure out where they stuck this you know, the radio thingy. I was able to cross the garden without being noticed by anyone, following the signal up to the gardener's shed. I found the device behind one of those stacked crates. Following Alice's instructions, I put the device I had with me on top of it. Then Alice would be able to...
Did I really need to do that, Mama dear?
Sure you did, idiot. Didn't you see that bunch of fleas was going to bite my hindquarters?
If you say so, Mama.
Don't hold a grudge on me now. We followed that shorty this far, but where did he go?
Come out of there, Stallone!
Not in the garbage, you idiot! He must be in the shed. Now be quiet and let's wait for him to come out.
Trapped again. Mom and Eugene didn't want to drop the ball. To get out of that shed, I would have to devise one of my genius ideas, and fast.
Was it really worth? I could have used the crates to barricade the shed, but sooner or later Eugene. Then I saw the opening above the door, and my brain cells started to activate. The toilet could have been useful, but it was secured with screws. The toilet seat was up. That was enough to know that no woman had been there for months. Maybe. Or maybe... Investigator, cook, tightrope walker, and now also plumber. My portfolio was becoming impressive. I never thought I'd say something like this, but the toilet bowl was perfect for the job. Well, now the shed had a comfortable floor toilet. I picked up a handful. Pebbles and dust. That fridge was emptier than mine. I just found a hot... Another step in building my stairway to heaven.
How long do we have to stay here, Mama?
All the time we need, you redneck. Sooner or later, he'll decide to come out of there.
Can we go now?
No!
And now?
No!
And now?
No!
Mama! It started raining!
Don't talk nonsense, you big monkey! Can't you see there's not even a cloud in the sky?
But I was sure that... Can we go now?
No!
And now?
No!
And now?
No!
Mama! Mama!
Eugene, you idiot! Get back here immediately!
Two 0 for me, Mama. I knew that wouldn't be the last meeting with the two henchmen. But for the time being, I had dodged a bullet. Then I saw Bobby on the ground. Eugene had clearly let him fall as he ran. It was a great relief to have him back in my possession. It was high time to beat it. Hey,
How's it going?
the device is gone. I'd like to specify that I risked my life once again to make it possible.
Perfect. We should have what we need to continue with our search. There. Now we have all 3 signals we'll use for tracking.
And how do we proceed now?
Do you see the light trails? They show the direction of the outgoing calls from the radio towers. I just have to select the radio tower to manipulate and use the 2 arrows on the lower left to rotate the signal.
But how will you know when you've set them the right way?
The signals will become more defined once they're arranged in their correct orientation. And once all 3 are done, we'll have the general position of Rodwed's cell phone at the moment the calls were received.
Hey, I actually understood that.
Now let me work. Lars, come here. I think I got it. The signals seem well defined. These are the exact directions of the phone calls. If we consider only the area where the 3 signals overlap and narrow it down to the circular area we're inspecting...
We obtain a decidedly small zone. In the Everglades, that would make sense.
In that vicinity, there only seems to be an old, unused building I cannot find any official papers for.
We found it. This is the place they brought Catherine. I'd bet my hat. We have to go, now.
Hold on. We need to think carefully. You always go and charge in without a plan, and as a result, you've risked your life many times since this case started. We must be extra cautious instead. We have very few hours of light left, so we might as well wait until tomorrow. In the meantime, we will formulate a safe approach plan. We could even consider involving Burton. After all, we're dealing with a teenager's life here.
I'm not entirely convinced, but all right. For once, I'll try to restrain myself.
Perfect. At this point, would you mind if I stay over? We could save a few precious hours.
Be my guest. The bed is right over there. On the other hand, I can see that you and the sofa are meant for each other, so I don't want to come between you.
You're really the last of the knights, Lazarus Bundy.
What would happen to Catherine Malsberg if I didn't make my move in time? And besides, how much would I expose Alice by involving her in all this? Those were the questions that kept me awake. The answers to those same questions finally helped me to understand what I had to do. I was going to be alone for the last time. I reached the place in the middle of the night. I had to leave Green Dart a few hundred feet away because of the rugged and swampy terrain. A lonely wooden building arose in the desolate Everglades landscape. There was no light that hinted of a human presence, and I was sure I was in the right place. I needed to arm myself before proceeding. Alligators. The Everglades were haunted by those fanged demons. The single blow, I had lost my source of light and my only defensive weapon. Oh, to hell with me, and my dislike of firearms. The structure was dark and silent. I didn't think there was anyone inside. I couldn't reach it. I couldn't. The door was the lower hatch, though. Seemed promising. The door was the lower. The frame was. With that, I could reach the latch, keeping the hatch closed. The lower hatch of the door was open. Obviously, the door was closed. The hatch was designed for a small animal, not a human, so I could never squeeze through it. The hatch was designed... The hatch was designed... Maybe. Or... The trick of the key dropping on a newspaper and then slipping it under the door only worked in the movies. But I had another idea in mind. I'd broken my very useful antenna, but at least I was able to poke the key out of the lock and make it fall on the floor of the cabin. The trick had worked to perfection. The shed was completely empty, with the exception of an abandoned envelope on the table. With a trembling hand, I picked up the envelope. I couldn't believe what I saw. Me, climbing the wall of Molesberg's residence. So somebody had been spying on me since the beginning of my investigation? The bowling night with Alice. I'd exposed that girl beyond all acceptable limits. The interrogation of Duke Ravendish. So they knew I was looking for the Citlalique. That's why Radwood was so calm. Just as I thought, the daring escape from the Citlalique aboard M's raft. Those fanatics had been following my moves step by step.
Look what we have here. I prepared a little show for you, Detective. Now relax and let me work. The spectacle is under construction.
You.
Not another step, Detective, or I might lose control of this old, trembling hand and make a fine mess. Hands in the air and no tricks.
If you so much as touch her...
For goodness sake, Bundy, do what he tells you.
Wise suggestion, Eric. We don't want this innocent creature to suffer any premature pain, do we?
For the love of God, let my grandson go.
First you give me your daughter, and now you pretend to play the role of the thoughtful grandfather.
The kidnapping wasn't planned. Molesberg had promised not only Catherine, but also the baby born of your relationship.
But it seems that the word of a businessman carries very little weight these days.
I was blinded. All the power you promised me isn't worth the sacrifice of...
Eric. This knife is becoming heavier and heavier.
If this is really the end of the road, at least I want to know why.
This is not a pathetic theatrical performance with a happy ending, Detective.
I've been watching you, so I know you didn't warn anybody about your solo plan, because this is what you're used to do, isn't it? Following your ambition without any compromise, putting your work ahead of everything else, ahead of family, leaving it behind in the name of your ambition, ahead of the few friends you've had.
I fulfill the emptiness of your existence. That's why you desperately need me.
And that's why you can only watch helplessly.
So now, if you don't mind...
No!
Hold it right there! Keep your hands up where I can see them.
Like this?
the hell was that?
Where did he go?
The window, quick! Catherine Malsberg was rushed to the hospital, while the Everglades were scoured from the ground up by Burton's men. Radwed and the baby had disappeared without a trace. Too many questions were left unanswered. How had Radwed gained these mysterious powers? And what was the role of the doctor? Only one thing I was sure of. I had failed. I stayed out late that night. I didn't have the guts to face Alice. If she hadn't warned Burton, things would have gone even worse. Radwed had tracked all my movements. Every bit of progress I thought I had made was just one more step toward the ending he had prepared. His ending. I underestimated my enemy. Or maybe I just overrated myself. I couldn't keep deluding myself like that. Maybe I should... drop my last line of defense.
Lars. We can't let this thing stop us. We just need...
I just need to go to bed and forget about everything.
That's it? Is this how you built your fame? By leaving things half done?
I have no energy left.
I don't believe you. Not after what I've seen.
Listen to me.
You walked on unstable ledges. You twice broke into the den of murderers you were after.
Alice.
You risked it all to save that girl. And now...
I'm dying of cancer! What? You run out of words? Didn't your kinetic superpower see that coming? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it'd take tremendous effort to hide such a disease. And you're right. And yet it's far worse than you think. Having to pretend every minute in front of others. In front of your boss, your colleagues, your neighbors, the supermarket cashier. Having to look confident, brilliant, unshakable, invincible. Yeah, I lied. I created such a well-orchestrated charade that I ended up believing it myself. I lied because I didn't want to suffer the look on your face right now. Concern, sympathy, pity. I don't want anyone looking at me like that. Not once. I was the best at what I did. I was the detective who flushed out all the cruelest and smartest criminals on the East Coast. And I need to be that guy again, even if my body betrays me and stabbing pains pierce my mind. I was hoping this case would be the last blaze of glory for Lazarus Bundy, but maybe it's beyond my reach. I can't face all of this, Alice. Not in this condition. I can't stop them. The masquerade is over.